Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I should thank our chief guest, Mr. B.C. Datta, for accepting our invitation on a very short notice, and he is among us today. Mr. M. Chellamuthu, General Manager and Admin of Ashok Leyland. Again, is a very busy person, and he accepted our offer to deliver this lecture today on the occasion of L.S.N. Gupta Memorial Lecture, what we conduct every year. And again, I welcome him. Thank you for accepting.
I see him as a man of perfection. That is first impression what I have. What I saw him is any program, anything you give to him, and he likes to look into perfection.
And I was with him for 1.5 years. That was really very enjoyable learning from him. And he was a very good coach. And I learned, afterwards we used to do programs together, and even after that. So from colleague from other departments, I became his subordinate. Then I became his successor. So I had a three-way relationship with him.
Mr. B.C. Datta, a law graduate from Bangalore University, has more than 40 years experience in various capacities, including 20 years experience in automobile industry. Mr. Datta is famous for his article on indirect tax in several magazines, newspapers and journals. Currently, he is a Vice President Corporate Affairs, Hyundai Motor India Limited.
Mr. M. Chellamuthu has a Bachelor Law from Law College, Madras, a Master of Labor Management from Tamil Nadu Institute of Labor Studies, and Master of Arts from Madurai Kamaraja University. Mr. Chellamuthu has over 25 years of comprehensive experience in handling people management process and contributes to organizations' strategic goals by providing effective human resources. Currently, he is General Manager, Human HR and Administration, Ashok Leyland Limited, Ennur.
If any of you are not member of this organization, definitely you must become. And if your organization is not part of, this, definitely you are missing something. You must make sure that your organization is part of this movement, and also make sure that some of the quality programs that this institute does is very, very impressive, very useful, very necessary. You cannot, quality, even though we speak about quality, not just about today's lecture itself is an indication that it is not just the product or engineering, quality, not just related to that. It's in many ways. I mean, it could be even human resource also.
I request Mr. Nandakumar to come and honor the speaker.
The VUCA, it's not new. The subject is not new. Everybody is talking about the VUCA. The age of it's more of like a perspective. It's opinionated statement because it's not a science. So it's nothing great. That's what I mean. But still, how we making this speech interesting, it's all depending on the listeners. If you interact more, I think this talk will be more interesting. And otherwise, it will be a one-side thing. This is what it's going to be. I roughly take 30 minutes to complete. Then we will have 10 to 15 minutes. VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. That's what it's nothing great. It's these are all there in everybody's life. It's nothing great. If we expect that everything will be on a SOP basis, that's what our expectation is not correct. But if you understand the life is all about this what all things will be there in everybody's life, in the business it will be there, in sports life, take any walks of life, it will be there. So it is there in the business. So nothing great. But the thing is, we always expect the things to be on an expected way. And we expect the people to behave in a particular way, the way we expect. We as an Ashok Leyland with 6,000 employees today, and we expect people to behave in a particular way. That will not happen, but still we expect. So it applicable to anywhere, even people behavior to everybody's life. Volatility, that's what we tried some attempt I made, my colleagues who helped me to get this presentation done across. We done some analysis, of course, it's a lot available on the Google. The volatility to vision, vision is the important thing for a volatility to be handled. Any organization, anybody who has got a business, even individual would have gotten a vision under the mission statement. The vision is the one, if you have a vision, greater vision, I don't think the volatility will be an issue, because that is there in everybody's life. Vision is even more important during turbulent times. Leaders with a clear vision are better able to make informed and business decisions to counter the turbulence. It's there in the history. If you take any organization, even the Ashok Leyland, take the Great Depression that happened in US 1929 to 1939, take any organization, even Sony, Motorola, even Hyundai, Maruti, everybody would have faced. But what drives all those organizations is the vision. It's not only the vision that is put in the piece of paper and fixed in the corner of the organization, the shared vision. If you share the vision across your employees are buying that visions. If they imbibe, if that organization vision is inculcated or imbibed by the employees as their own, I think so nothing is difficult in this company, in this organization. You know, most of you must be knowing, IBM is the one company which has got an individual mission statement. I don't know whether they have an individual mission statement or not. When they started, they underwent a lot of problem, IBM. Being it's a computer company, obviously their disruption is much more heavier and stronger than what automobile industry. Fairly, I think commercial industries are fairly, it's okay that our volume goes down and up, our products remain the same, and we come out with small variations in product. But if you take the computer industry and the software industry, their disruption, the pace of disruption is much more and faster than the. So coming back to IBM, they had an individual vision and a mission statement. So that's what the organization is. And if you take the book called Built to Last, it's one of the famous book. They have studied quite a number of companies which lasted for the 150 years and more, and all talks about the core value system and vision. Those companies have got a greater values, core values, vision and ethical standard. They have survived more than 115 years. They have navigated all turbulence times, and they have come across, even now these organizations are there. So we don't have to talk much about the vision. The vision is a vision, and it puts everything in the right perspective also. Uncertainty to understanding. See, this understanding is a problem now, today. On the uncertainty, why this uncertainty comes? Because we don't understand the things in a right perspective. If you understand the things in right perspective, the uncertainty will not be there. If you quote the today's political situation, I'm not going to talk about the pro or answer of the Citizenship Amendment Bill, national registration, and national population register. But the problem is understanding. Obviously, whoever is in the government, they will try and say that whatever the intention, the right perspective, the people sitting in the opposite, they will refuse to understand, because the politics thrives on the confusion. Politics thrives on the negative plank. So if you refuse to understand, definitely there will be an uncertainty. And today, this political situation, a lot of uncertainty. You can blame the both. But the government is failing to make the people understand, and opposition is refusing to understand the thing. So that's the reason a lot of uncertainties and the confusion. And one thing, whatever we do, lot has been talked about the quality. Today, Mr. Datta was talking about engineering guys who have come out of the college, and a lot of people are Ola drivers because of the quality. Normally what happened, we live, as an Indian, we are very much comfortable to live in our comfort zone. We don't travel beyond our comfort zones. And those who have taken the risk, those who have taken a venture into uncharted territory, and they become they're successful in their way of life. And the business is also something. The business never gives you a comfort, and the business is also about the risk. And if you come out of the your own comfort and your own expertise and get into others, and you will get in a better perspective. The perspective is understand in the right perspective. That when it comes to that other perspective, once you move out of your comfort zone only, you get in a right perspective. As long as you are there, you got your own functional bias, functional prejudice. It happens, it bounds to happen with any human being, and we are also very much comfortable with our own bias. But if you are ready to travel the other area, look at things from others' perspective, I think we get in a much more clarity and the vision. Complexity to clarity, deliberative and well-defined behavior and process that makes sense of the chaos. And you know, we were talking about the pre-session that India is such a 130 million population, we are struggling to reach a 5 trillion economy. That too, a lot of statements being made, everyone to how to reach 5 trillion, but it's as of now it looks very difficult because it has to grow at 12% GDP for the next 5 years in order to reach a 5 trillion economy. But what happens? Why India is not able to reach? We are talking, US is 23 trillion economy. But we are not able to build one single world-class brand till now. Be it an automobile, be it in anything. Our brand, the Indian brand, and it's not known outside India. Tata is trying to make their car and automobile, they are only in India. And we are also, we are not a world class. Ashok Leyland is not a world class brand. So why, what happens? Because the quality is the one, there is something else. What is that X factor the other countries have and we do not have? Korea, South Korea, you know, it's a small country. Now today, the Hyundai, there's so many Kia Motors, they are, and China you take. So something is fundamentally missing with ours. I don't know what, it's a political will or we have a knowledge because our people go and do excellent job. If you take Microsoft, you take a Google, if you take any organization, it's number one organization, you will have a very fair number of Indians working there, you know, CEOs. But when it comes to India, we are not able to perform. So why it is? There are a lot of confusion, chaos, and so many things. So, and we, to be frank, let's accept one thing is, and we are not in a process-oriented people, definitely. Any organization you take, even from Ashok Leyland, it's a 30,000 crore turnover organization. We, as a force, as a compulsion, only we follow the process. As an love, as an affection, as an voluntarily, as a matter of journey to excellence, the process is not into our blood. That's what. Why it is not? So we ad hoc. There's a lot of confusion and ad hoc. So the clarity comes, and you don't have the complexities. Ambiguity to agility. Ambiguity, okay, for a politician, ambiguity is the right platform for them to drive. If any thing is clear, and they will not be able to, but for the business, it is the agility. If you have the agility, the ambiguity will not be there. So it is absence of one, the presence of other things. The absence of one, if the stronger, the other will not be present. And as rightly said, it's not the strongest of the species that survives, not the most intelligent, but the one is most adaptive to the change that will survive. And it's again, it is not the big is going to kill the small, only the fast will be the time is fast and things are happening in the much faster, the faster pace. The fast will definitely kill the slow. Oh, that's what it's. Yeah. We were talking about in the beginning of the nature, if you look at this view, it's ups and down. This is not a plane, it's not a flatten. So this is what this nature has organized the things. So what happened, the business, I just quote it, small. When you take this CV industries, since I am from commercial vehicle industries, I thought we'll take figures from the CV industry, commercial vehicle industries. From the year 1991 to 2019, the volume, total CV commercial vehicle volume in India, this is what it is happened. So what is, where is a question of here VUCA, and where is a question of disruption, and where is a question of slowdown and economic. In the previous slide, the nature itself so is the business volume itself. So it's nothing great. There are good things happen and bad thing happens. Good thing is rise of business, and the bad thing is from business point of view the fall. Rise and fall is the nature. So let's not talk about the what VUCA gives us an best, and but the same VUCA also puts us down. That's what rise and ups and downs. So we will talk more about the fall and downs of the business as far as VUCA is. On the surface, if you look at it, if you ask any person, any people in the village, rural economy, if you go and say, so the economy is not doing well, there is a slowdown, and the people hardly will believe the statement. On the surface, if you just we had, there are two movies, October 2nd, that had collected a whopping 120 crore business in Mumbai, two Hindi movies. And if you take the alcohol revenue, that's in 2018, $67 billion. And you know, Tamil Nadu is one of the leading contributor to this 67 billion. And come the festive season, you go to Ranganathan Street and T Nagar, go to any street in Chennai, it will be hard to believe that we are going through an economic recession on the surface of it. But there are a lot of hue and cries that from car industries, commercial industries, everywhere, this economy is not doing well, growth is not happening. And there are 4% down, 10% down. Actually, we are 35%, 40% down. So, does it mean that the economy is sound? Yes, somewhere it's sound and somewhere it's not sound. That's what I would rather say. Some statistics, if you look at the auto sector crisis is worst in the last 20 years. Real estate, if you look at that's really doing very bad. In the 4 days back, there was one news in Chennai itself, 4,500 luxury apartments are not sold out. And this, when the government needs money, obviously we were expecting this budget will be it's favorable to the personal income tax, but it happened always other ways around. So government and the people are talking about the people in opposition, you put the money in the common hands, they spend, by the way of spending, they trigger the economic revival. But I don't think the government is ready to put the money back in the hands of people. Rather, Nirmala Sitharaman says, instead of spending money, she said she would rather create the assets. That is also one way of the spending. So the tax collection, Dattaji is, I think, he has to say that now the tax collection, it's going to increase in any way because the government doesn't have money, it has to spend and it has to have money has to come from the society. That is, tax is one of the main resources for the government. So if you see that in the value of new projects announced during the April to June, it is 79, close to 80% down. the new projects that is announced. It's across India, that's what I am talking about. So index of industrial production, it's fell by 4.3%. There are so many data and this official data clearly shows the demand slowdown has taken the toll on 8 core sectors, which saw the activity contract by 5.2% in September, its worst performance in the 14 years. And India's electricity demand falls at the fastest pace at least 12 years. So things are going like this. If you see that GDP coming down in financial year, and if FY 2020 it's not going to be, and the news are also not encouraging, and things are, we are not seeing any green shoots. It's a likely economical revival will be in the 2021. So what is opportunity? What is opportunity through VUCA? It throws for everyone. Whether you believe it or not, and we learn, Ashok Leyland learns the best lesson only during the recession. And so is the case with all of you. When the times are tough, and we learn the best lesson. That's the reason the mistakes are often called as an experience. Experience is often called the mistake. It gives us a lot of experience, and we learned, thanks to 2012 recession, we learned a lot of lessons. And those lessons, this time, we didn't struggle a lot. We just copy pasted. Whatever we had done in the 2012, just copy pasted and just roll out it this time. So what happened? You shed your extra flab and get it. Then, as I said, all discretionary expenses were cut, only essential expenses. And you know, the good thing, any recession, the first victim will be the training, and we had not done. We had cut the training of external, but we were busy in people training the internally. So resource was flowing even for the training. So we don't want to be in but training is cut. You know, that is the one engagement that keeps people busy, and their morale is good. So what the crisis brings best out of you, innovate and they contribute. So what we have done, the AL experience, that I'll just give one example of this. Have you heard about this red tree? See, this tree is 350 feet tall, and depth of root is only 6 feet. It's grown in a coniferous kind of family. It's grown in California. This age of these trees are 500 to 1,000 years. But the root is only just 6 feet. Although it's 650 feet tall, the root is only 6 feet. How it survives? It has withstood every turbulence. You know, the 100,000 years, you would have imagined so many cyclones, so many droughts, so many things would have happened. Everything is withstood and it's surviving. The simple reason is all the roots are interconnected with the other trees. That's a simple reason. So it gives a lot of lesson to the human being. You don't have to be strong. If you're well connected, if you're networking with well, and if you harness others' ability, others' resource, and utilize for your organization, and nothing, it's great. Can we escape from VUCA? Yes, no, however we can navigate. Yeah, that's what. Okay. Thank you so much.
Normally at the first, the glimpse of any recession, we all talk about cost reduction. For example, normally in a household, we buy 3 lengths of flour to garland the guards or put it in your car. At the first instance, we cut that. We think that it is not essential. But in the other way, we affect the last person on the line, maybe the flour vendor. So every recession actually with the amount of cost reduction, the waste reduction is different. What we are talking now is about the essentials and non-essentials. That's why I took the example of a flour. Is it right to do the cost reduction or to continue the spending as long as you can, so that the last man in the line is not affected?
See, it's our experience that the cost reduction is not an appropriate word. So rather we can say it's a cost management. That should be then a right word. We put a cost reduction. But that's a way, it's a no way, Karl Marx talks about the egalitarian society, where everything is equal, like utopian society. But in a industry like us or country like us, and in a capitalism, there is no gain for everyone. Somebody lost, somebody's gain. That is what it happened. But the problem is the role of government is how much loss, so regulate the loss and regulate the earnings so that the equilibrium is maintained. But in this situation, definitely we will not be worrying about the person next. We will be worrying about ourselves. But rather, as you said, morally, if you are in a luxury position, see, we also said when the disruption started in a year back, little bit we were luxury. We were all thinking about, okay, this expense, okay, this expense. Today, whatever we thought that expenses can be done, today we think from looking back 12 months back, those are all very luxurious expenses. So that's, it's only time only, the time and the tight situation only will force you to look at the things in a different way. But yes, ethically if you say, that's not correct. But in a business, it's a business isn't a business.
Now see, every organization has plenty of problems, whether they're small or big. Okay. Now I think that is the right time where we can list it out every department wise and work on that and then bring improvements instead of making them to be at home. And that may be more potential.
See, working, this problem is not in a department wise, the problem is whole. And each department output is not directly going to the customer. It's all aggregates only we manufacture. Unless the chassis is out, there is no point in producing aggregates. So it's all like, in tandem only it has to work. If somebody works, but somebody doesn't work, then its inventory gets piled off. For that particular round, suppose you say the engine is to work, then we need to get the engine suppliers and all up. I don't think that will happen. Then what happens, then those population, those off-roll people alone have to come. And those associates have to come, and those executives have to come, and the others. It's very difficult. And moreover, what we look at it, if the entire factory is shut, what is the cost saving? That's what we look at it. If you operate the portion of department and shut the entire other factories, you don't get that cost management. It doesn't happen. It is 100% yes or no only. In that sense only, you get the certain money savings. That's what. So maybe, I don't know, if that aggregate, the particular aggregate is in the final output to the customer, probably that's okay. But a company like us, it may not work out.
I'm honored to have the opportunity to give a word of thanks on this special day. First, I thank our chief guest, Mr. Datta, for his presence and sharing his thoughtful views about the present industrial scenario and the challenges what we are facing now. And I thank our guest speaker, Mr. M. Chellamuthu, for his enthralling speech and sharing of his knowledge. The way you presented the statistics and the way you presented the nation's present condition and connected with the topic was very impressive, sir.